This is a thrilling science fiction film known as a childhood shadow. Scenes of toilets eating people, blood splashing, human bodies corroding, and even swallowing people alive are all included. As a child, I was always afraid of being eaten by a toilet after watching it. The story is called Deep Rising in the dark Pacific Ocean. Tonight is not only the undersea currents surging, but the weather is also terrible. But the protagonist Max is already used to it. As an experienced professional sea smuggler, it is an important principle to know nothing about the clients and to stay alive and get paid. But tonight's destination is just an ordinary red dot on the radar, without any sign of landing. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ocean, there is a huge cruise ship. The interior of the cruise ship is a place where the upper class indulge and spend freely. As the sound of a glass clinking echoes through the room, everyone turns their attention to the cruise ship owner, who declares his dream of building the most luxurious, best, and expensive cruise ship ever. He also hopes that this cruise ship can fulfill everyone's dreams. However, the more extreme the luxury, the more mixed and disorderly the crowd. A red-dressed woman casually walked up to the captain and stole the high-level access card for the cruise ship. At the same time, Max's boat also has a group of clients as the consignors. The black-faced henchmen look fierce one by one. However, Max's maintenance technician, Z-Pan, is curious about what the poker face's target is tonight. He sneaked into the warehouse and opened the cargo. His eyes widened at the sight of a half-person tall torpedo. There were enough torpedoes on the boat to sink a large cruise ship. Z-Pan was caught by the black-faced henchman, who beat him. Just then, several cold arrows hit beside the poker face. It was Max coming to rescue Z-Pan. The poker face understood the seriousness of the situation and let Z-Pan go. It's not worth ruining today's big deal for it. The woman in red, who had got the access card earlier, started her task tonight. She is Jensen, a heroine. With proficient thieving skills, she blocked the camera with chewing gum and opened the cabinet door smoothly. But when she was admiring the necklace, she was caught on the spot by the cruise ship owner and captain. She was promptly locked in a fruit warehouse and would be given to the police upon landing. Max carried on driving the speedboat to his destination. Tonight's radar was rather insensitive. The warehouse was filled with a great number of torpedoes, which made him feel uneasy. At this moment, a highly suspicious figure with a box entered the cruise ship's control room. He knew the cruise ship's control system well and replaced the disk with a new one containing instructions. The cruise ship's power system went offline in seconds, and the driving room's radar, navigation, and communication systems all malfunctioned. How serious is this problem? In the captain's words, being without radar at sea is like being blind. But the communicator had worse news. There was an unknown creature rapidly approaching the cruise ship from 160 meters below. The cruise ship was hit violently all of a sudden. The interior became a mess. Everything was tossed about. The upper class who had been singing and dancing a moment ago were now scrambling and trampling over each other. People who were unaware of the situation fled in a panic. A woman hurriedly hid in the bathroom, thinking she was safe. But she became the first person to die in movie, and her death was eerily caused by a toilet eating her. Max noticed a red dot appear on the radar. Before he could grab the telescope to get a closer look, it was too late to avoid the impact that left a hole in the hull of the boat. The ERS engine also went tepid. Luckily, the gorgeous female assistant brought some good news. Ahead was a cruise ship. Maybe they could borrow some tools and parts from it to repair their speedboat. Suddenly, Poker Face showed up, gun in hand, and forced them to head for the cruise ship. There was no doubt now that the target tonight was the cruise ship, and they were aiming to make a quick buck. The crew of the Poker Face were professionals. They had equipment to remotely open the hatch of the Ghost. They made Max and Z-Pan board the ship to look for useful parts to fix their boat and escape quickly. On the speedboat, only the female assistant and a crew member remained. The Poker Face gang proceeded to the cruise ship's entertainment hall, prepared to have a wild time. However, when they opened the door, they were shocked. The place was in a shambles, blood everywhere and no sign of survivors. Suddenly, the elevator behind them rang and opened, showing more bloodstains. They searched more and saw the lifeboats were unused. Where was everyone? A clap of thunder made them think they were on a ghost ship for a moment. But the poker-faced one didn't forget his task. His aim was to get rich. Huey quickly started to search the ship separately. Max and Z-Pen were taken to the engine room to find useful parts. Meanwhile, Poker Face went to the command room to check. As for the rest of the story, there was only one person alive on the ship. Jensen had woken up from his coma, destroyed the access control circuit, and escaped from the warehouse. If he knew what was going on outside, he probably wouldn't have dared to leave. Back on the speedboat, the female assistant was left to repair the ball, while the other crew members stood guard. Suddenly, a creepy stare was fixed on her. Before she could figure out what was happening, a bloated and decayed upper body appeared in front of her, terrifying her so much that she fell into the water. She was still wondering where the body had come from when, in the next second, she was attacked from behind by an unknown object and pulled into the sea. In the engine room, Max and Z-Pen were sorting through the repair parts. Suddenly, Mobile Guy noticed some movement on the other side and cautiously approached with his gun. The thought of someone else on the ship, along with the murky seawater that was gradually rising up to their knees, was enough to make their hearts race. Low growls from the corridor convinced the Mobile Guy that there was someone else on the ship. He called out to boost his courage. Suddenly, the water in front of him bubbled vigorously. Before he could react, the Mobile Guy was instantly killed. With a loud scream, his machine gun was thrown towards Max. The pipeline was also splashed with blood. The confused long-haired guy accused Max of pulling the trigger, but Max had no idea what had happened. Meanwhile, Poker Face and his men were busy searching the ship, mainly focusing on the cruise ship's vault. To their surprise, they met Jensen, who claimed to be the captain's assistant. But Poker Face wasn't taken in by his lies and demanded to know where the other passengers had gone. As Blackface was about to rob the vault with the access card, muttering money, 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 an axe suddenly plunged into his skull, and he was killed instantly. The others fired blindly. In the end, only the cruise ship owner and captain were left alive. The three henchmen were full of bullet holes. Poker Face pointed his gun at the cruise ship owner and demanded to know why his men had been killed. The owner simply said, "There are monsters." This excuse was obviously ridiculous. Jensen, who had been ignored, quietly escaped. Longhair continued to confront Max, but was suddenly attacked by an unknown object that wrapped around his leg and dragged him away through a hatch. This seemed to be a much more dangerous enemy than Poker Face. Max and Z-Pen quickly gathered their parts. Max took a gun and fired wildly. A terrifying, unknown force emerged from the corridor below. They managed to escape by closing the door just in time. As Max and Z-Pen fled the elevator, they met Jensen. The creaking sound above confirmed Max's warning, and Jensen stopped. Poker Face arrived soon after. He began to suspect Max when the elevator suddenly shook violently with strange growling noises. The elevator plunged to the third floor underground, throwing everyone out. The corridor on the third floor underground was covered with fresh blood, and the floor was strewn with the cleanly devoured remains of humans. As they tried to calm down, the corridor was suddenly compressed by an enormous force, as if someone was crushing a can. But then it became quiet. Max and Blackface approached to check. Suddenly, someone behind them crushed bones, and they realized they were trapped. As they fought back, the force kept compressing the corridor. They withdrew to an employee locker room. The captain stated that they couldn't send a distress signal as the communication system had been wrecked by the monster. Max figured out that someone on the ship had intentionally damaged the system. Given that the cruise ship owner knew Poker Face, he must be the traitor. The cruise ship owner attempted to deny it, but Poker Face affirmed their partnership. They had planned to rob the cruise ship together. When the others demanded the owner restore the communication system, he admitted it was impossible. The captain asked why the owner would rob his own ship. The owner explained that although he had put his life into the cruise ship, the operating costs were too high. Even with all the tickets sold, they couldn't make a profit. So, he decided to stage a robbery with Blackface, sink the ship with torpedoes, and collect the insurance money. The captain angrily assaulted the owner. Jensen, with her thief's instincts, managed to snatch a handgun in the chaos. Z-Pen stared in horror as a dirty, slimy substance suddenly showed up on his shoulder. It was a huge tentacle. Max swiftly reacted by firing a volley of bullets at it. The tentacle spat out a corroded body, which was one of the men who had been left on the speedboat. Everyone armed with a gun started shooting at the tentacle, resolved to destroy it. The tentacles were all over the cabin and couldn't be eliminated. They had to fight their way out. Max and Jensen collided, Jensen promising to give him anything he wanted if Max could help her escape. Max simply replied, "Get me an ice-cold Coke." Suddenly, a tentacle emerged between them, scaring Jansen so much that he ran away, while Max fell to the ground, dropping his gun. Max was trying to pick up his gun. He accidentally made a noise that drew the tentacle's attention. The tentacle then showed its mouth. Jansen rushed back, firing crazily, and saved Max. Meanwhile, the captain was being wrapped up by something. This took place right beside the cruise ship owner, who didn't show any intention of helping, which just goes to show the saying every man for himself when the ship is sinking. Max and Jansen arrived and couldn't hold back the captain at all. The captain was swallowed up by the tentacle. The cruise ship owned gave everyone a biology lesson. This was an ancient giant octopus. It lived 1 kilometer deep and was only as big as a golf ball. Something living 6 kilometers deep could devour a big shark. Then everyone could imagine what might live below 10,000 meters. After hearing this, Max had only one thought: take the parts and go back to his speedboat to repair it and leave as soon as possible. This plan seemed like a good idea to anyone who heard it. However, the most dangerous thing at the moment was how to get back to the speedboat. The cruise ship owner led them to a flooded ship cabin. If they swam to the other side, more paths to the hatch would open up. Max remained silent and asked the poker face to swim over with him for support. If they reached the other side safely, they would fire 2 shots as a signal. The only minor incident was that the guy swimming behind was nearly scared to death by a severed hand and almost out of breath. The 4 on the other side could hardly utter a word for a few seconds before the monster launched a sudden attack and filled the whole corridor. Shao Pan closed the door and held up for a while. The cruise ship owner, seeing the situation, opened fire without hesitation and fled. The door couldn't withstand the monster's impact. After it broke through, they were met with ceaseless gunfire. Shao Pan and Beard Bro fought the monster back bit by bit. After pushing the monster back, they both fled. But once in the water, it was the monster's domain. The bearded who got left behind eventually became the monster's meal. But before dying, he detonated a hand grenade when a man. After escaping to the kitchen, the group discussed their next move. The cruise ship owner said that if they waited for the search and rescue team, it would be at least 24 hours later. So it was a choice between staying here for a 24-hour survival game or making their way back to the speedboat. Tech Guy had been so scared that he made the decision for everyone, closing the kitchen door and staying here to wait for rescue. But the poker face advocated fighting their way out. They now pointed guns at each other. Mike said he had once seen an experiment where a fish was put into a bottle with a lid on it, and then the bottle was thrown to an octopus. In under 2 minutes, the octopus opened the bottle and devoured the fish inside. At the moment, they were just like those fish in the bottle. Right after telling his little story, the expressions of the group turned rigid. Tech Guy also sensed something amiss behind them. Without looking back, he fired crazily, forcing the tentacles back into the ventilation ducts. But the monster was cunning this time and left 1 tentacle out. When Tech Guy let his guard down, the second tentacle swallowed him up completely. Max and the others were being toyed with by the monster. Max asked the cruise ship owner about what was ahead, and he said it was the deck before sneaking to a safe place behind them. In front of Max was a pile of cleanly chewed human bones. Then the monster broke the ship's hull with a roar, likely to corner Max and the others with seawater. The 4 had to split up and flee. Max and Jansen got away safely, but Z-Pan and the poker face weren't as fortunate. The poker face, a tough criminal, shot Z-Pan in the leg, seemingly to sacrifice him to the monster so he could escape. Before the monster reached Z-Pan, he hid in a nearby garbage chute. Coincidentally, Z-Pan escaped from the gambling hall and spotted a gun on the ground, then reached for it. Suddenly, a hand appeared from nowhere and grabbed onto Z-Pan. It was the poker face, caught by the monster. Z-Pan turned to leave, feeling helpless. Leaving the poker face like this was pitiful. Z-Pan handed the pistol to He Lian and let him fend for himself. However, He Lian shot Z-Pan, fortunately missed. Let me give myself a quick end, he thought. But the gun was out of bullets. You can imagine the outcome. Max and Jansen got back to the speedboat. Looking repair parts, Max decided to let Jansen go to the cruise ship to find a motorboat for escape. He'd set the speedboat on autopilot to crash into the cruise ship and detonate a torpedo to kill the monster. After finding out his girlfriend was eaten by the monster, Z-Pan had no option but to finish the final task assigned by Max. Jansen found the key to the motorboat, but the cruise ship owner suddenly jumped out and threatened Jansen with a gun, demanding the key. Max heard the gunshot in the cabin and immediately returned to the cruise ship to rescue Jensen. Jensen was being held at gunpoint by the cruise ship owner. Max arrived in time and fired a barrage of shots, all of which missed their target. Max didn't want to kill anyone, he just wanted to scare the cruise ship owner away. Suddenly, the entertainment hall shook violently, and a giant monster appeared from the center of the hall. It was the octopus monster, the main antagonist of the film. As soon as Max saw the octopus monster, he started to back away. But the octopus monster had been lying in wait and grabbed Max as soon as he moved. It stared at him hungrily, seeing him as a delicious treat. Max grabbed a shotgun and shot at the octopus monster's eyeball, causing it to release its grip in pain. The two of them quickly escaped the hole, with Jensen preparing the motorboat, while Max returned to the speedboat to pick up Z-Pan. However, the broken glass and disgusting slime in the cockpit indicated that Z-Pan had already met a grisly end. Max had no choice but to return to the cruise ship along with Jensen and leave. Meanwhile, the fleeing cruise ship owner saw the speedboat start up and, desperate to save his life, jumped onto it. Although he managed to save his life, he broke his leg in the fall. The cruise ship owner crawled into the cockpit and realized that the speedboat, which had been set to autopilot, could not be manually controlled. As the speedboat turned and crashed into the cruise ship, the torpedo exploded, causing a huge fireball in the cabin. Max managed to escape through the door just before it closed. The once lively octopus monster was also turned into a charred mess by the explosion. Max and Jensen steered the motorboat towards the nearest island. Looking at the damaged motorboat, Max couldn't help but think of Z-Pan. Jensen thanked Max by giving him the only kiss in the whole movie. While Max was wondering how they were going to survive on the deserted island, he suddenly realized that life might not be so bad after all. Finally, Jensen spotted Z-Pan floating towards the shore. He had jumped into the water to escape when the octopus monster attacked last night. It was likely that Max's shot had hit the octopus monster's eyeball, distracting it enough for Z-Pan to escape. The three of them were overjoyed to be reunited, until a loud monster roar came from the island. Deep Rising was released in 1998. Although the film is only 97 minutes long, it successfully incorporates elements of robbery, conspiracy, thriller, horror, humanity, and humor. The ending of the film even includes a touch of romance. The plot is tight and well-paced, with no dragging or sluggish moments. The special effects, considering the year of its release, are truly looking ahead, or advanced, for its time.